Hello everyone, welcome to a special video. In this video we're going to discuss two things. First of all, the Gypsy Jazz Workshop week, which is a great opportunity to learn Gypsy Jazz from the best players in the world, which is coming up fairly soon. And of course we're going to talk about that great Paulus Schäfer solo that you heard at the start of the video. Let's go! So I have a brand new setup in the sense that there is no microphone anymore to pick up my voice. I have a new microphone system for that. I'm not completely sure if it will work as well as the previous one, but at least there's no more ugly microphone here. And there's also no lav mic, because I hate that. I want to be free from any wires. We'll see how it works, but I have great hopes for it. Enough about that. Let's get started with the subject for today. So I was telling you about the Gypsy Jazz Workshop Week, which is a new initiative by the guys from the group 5 Great Guitars. 4 of those members are starting kind of a new thing, which they call the Gypsy Jazz Workshop Week. And you might say, well, there's already a couple of festivals or camps with workshops. But the difference here is that the roster of teachers is more varied than normal. And there's also time for individual lessons. So the teachers are 4 guitar players from that group, the 5 Great Guitars, which are Stochler Rosenberg, Paulus Schäfer, Jan Kuiper and Digmond Rovers. And they each have their own specialties related to Gypsy Jazz or related to improvisation. And that will make the lessons very varied. And the 5th teacher is me, even though I'm not part of that group, the 5 Great Guitars. They still asked me to teach, and I'm very honored to do that. So when they asked me, I immediately decided that I wanted to make a promo video for that camp. But I didn't want it to be just me in a video like this. So I got into my car, I drove to the other side of the country and did an interview with those 4 guys, Stochelo, Paulus, Jan and Digmond. And then I had them play a tune as a background to the interviews and also to connect the interviews. And I edited together a short promo clip. And that was it. That was actually my plan. I was going to introduce that camp and then play the promo video. And that would be the end of the video. But when I was editing the video and when I heard the tune they played and I heard the great solos that Paulus played, well, they all played great solos, but I was especially struck by Paulus. And that's not a coincidence because it's his tune. It's a tune called Holy Tag and it's a kind of a funky tune. I heard his great solos and I thought, you know what? I'm going to transcribe those solos. I had 2 takes, 2 choruses, and I just combined them into one solo that I played in the beginning. So first I'm going to play for you that promo clip, then I'm going to discuss the solos phrase by phrase like I normally do on this channel. But first, the promo for the Gypsy Jazz Workshop Week 2023.
I learned to play guitar at the age of 10 years old. And my biggest example was, of course, Django Reinhardt. And I tried to copy all his solos and I learned many things from him. I think my mission is now to give it further at other people.
The way that I learn the people about to improvise, if I do this, the G, and I have 3 licks, I learned it note by note, guitar on guitar, one on one, because notes I don't know it. So we learned at home also. I want to learn the people how I did it when I was young. And so I want to give this to these people.
For me, Gypsy Jazz was something really special. The way they improvise, because Gypsy Jazz is about improvising. And it's also playing the right notes on the right chords and the right turnarounds. I'll ask Paulus or I ask Stoffel, what did you play there? And then they show it to me and say, okay, that's how you do it.
I think it's very important for someone who wants to learn the Gypsy Jazz to play it together also. And a lot of people together and try other things that you didn't play at home. So when I was young, I did the same thing. I was playing with all my cousins, my uncles, and it was actually a big jam session all the day.
For me, timing and rhythm is everything. There's no music without timing and there's no music without rhythm. You have to play right on the beat. And also what's very important is the independence of the left and right hand. What we're gonna do is some practices about independence. Try to put your foot on the 1 and the third count. Then switch to 2 and 4 with your foot. Then you can change it 1 and 3, 2, 4, 2, 3, 1, 4. And it's all about independence, and that makes you a better musician.
I think improvising is a human thing. We all improvise. My aim in this workshop week is especially to let people feel and experience what improvisation is about. Improvisation can be, on the one hand, it can be composition. It's basically all is fixed. Or the other side is you just sit down and you start playing. You play a tune for the first time. You know roughly the chords, but then you start improvising. And what we're going to do in this week is that between everything composed and everything free, you can move. And that's the feeling of improvisation in Gypsy Jazz.
Come and play with us.
See you at the Gypsy Jazz Workshop Week.
So if you didn't catch the dates or the location, because it went by pretty fast, there's a link in the description to the page, the official page, and you can take your time and read all the details again. Now let's get started with Paulus' solo that he played on his own tune, Holy Tech. And we start, of course, with phrase number 1. Before we get started, I'm gonna ask right here in the beginning of the video for something that I usually ask for at the end of the video, and that is that you like this video and subscribe or hit the bell icon. I usually save it for the end, but most people will never get to the end. That makes sense, because I show you a lick and you start practicing the lick and you don't play the video. But that's one of the reasons that my channel is growing very slowly, even though I have lots of videos and a lot of work goes in the videos. And people really like the videos, they tell me. But the channel is growing slowly because the videos are not getting enough likes. So if you want to help me out, I hope you do. If you like the videos, please like the video. And then also subscribe if you're not subscribed. But liking the video is very important. That being said, let's continue with exploring phrase number 1. This phrase is played over a D minor 7 G7 vamp with this kind of groove. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And of course, you could outline all these chords, right? You could switch between D minor 7 and G7, but generally, you could think either of those chords throughout. And Paulus mainly stays on D minor, starting very nicely on that 9. And of course, it's an E, so you can also hit the open E string. You can do that, or you can skip it, or you can do it sometimes. I just try to hit both strings, and sometimes I might hit only one string, but that doesn't matter. It's just more of a guitar trick. Now we continue with this phrase. Now, it's important to realize that the groove for this tune is a straight groove, a funk groove. And I am actually not that used to play on this groove. And you can kind of tell when you hear me play, it is not as precise as Paulus is playing. Just because I have to get used to this groove, and I'm going to work on it, it will get better. But it's very important to play straight, and to play straight on the beat. You don't want to swing those eighth notes, right? You don't want to do that. And then especially that part after it, those are all offbeat notes, and they should be very straight offbeat. And in the way I play it, it's not that precise. It could have been better. But I only worked on it for a couple of hours, so it's going to take some time. But when you practice it slowly with a metronome and really try to make sure that all the eighth notes are of equal length, including the rests. 1 and 2 and... Now this part, this triplet, you can do either a half step, which I think I do in a slow demonstration, but I think Paulus is playing a whole step. But it goes by so quickly that you don't really notice half or whole. Now this thing, it's a really Paulus thing. Of course, many other players do it as well, but when Paulus does it, it sounds very... I don't know, very excited, very pointed. So you really have to play super staccato on those high notes, then have an open B string in between. It's not notated, but that's the effect. But in tempo, that B string will kind of fall away, or it will be muted by your fingers, and it's more of a rhythmic effect. Just try to repeat it a couple of times. Should be really staccato. There are some slides in the tab. I don't think I really do it. And again, that's because of the groove. I'm trying to work on playing straight, so those slides, they are kind of in the way. But once you get the groove going, then adding the slides is really nice. There. There. But in the beginning, do it without slides and just work on playing super straight, super even. Let's go to the next phrase. This is a typical Paulus phrase. He plays this a lot on 2/5 type progressions, and what we have here is a vamp on G minor C7. And it's the same principle. You can just play G minor on it, or C7. And Paulus plays, which is basically G minor 7 to C7. Or you could just say it's G minor 7, G minor 6. Now you could do all downstrokes until here. Or you could do down up. Or you could do hammer on. I'm talking about the first two notes. I think all down is the strongest, especially when it's a straight tune. And then here we have again this same effect as here with the open B string, but now the B string, of course, doesn't make any sense on G minor C7. So it's really just a rhythmic effect. This jump from the B flat to the F sharp is a little bit tricky to play. So try to be very precise. And again, this whole phrase should sound very staccato, with a lot of attack and Paulus has a very strong attack in his right hand, and that's super appealing, especially in a tune like this. There is still accents, it's not all even volume. You still hear this B flat and this A, but the timing is super even and the attack is very even. Difficult to get that sound, but go listen to Paulus play. I know that this solo is not really on YouTube because it's in the background of the interviews. But if you just find any video of Paulus, I will link a video of Paulus playing. You can hear his way of playing. It's very much it's a lot of attack, and the timing is very precise, very appealing player. Let's go to the next phrase. Another typical Paulus phrase, and I love this phrase. It's so nice for a minor chord. In this case, it's D minor. This part, you should try to hit that D with an upstroke. Something like that. So, pull off, up, down. It doesn't have to be that precise. The upstroke could be a little bit muted, but that's the effect. And then this phrase, typical phrase for D minor, Paulus plays that last B with a downstroke. So you get 2 downstrokes in a row. And I really like that sound. Normally I would probably do an upstroke. And it sounds similar, but it's not the same kind of in-your-face attack as doing 2 downstrokes. So try to get that, try to do that and get close to the intention of Paulus's attack. Let's go to the next phrase. Here you have a typical phrase for A7 altered. Now it's important to realize that the chords under it are B flat 7, A7, like this. B flat 7, A7. But that B flat 7 is maybe a passing chord, or it's not an important chord. The most important chord there is A7. So you can safely ignore the B flat 7. You could play it, but you could also just think A7. That's what Paulus is doing. And this phrase is a standard, let's say, Gypsy Jazz phrase for A7. But there's one extra little thing, and that's the repeat. This repeat. I don't hear that all that often. I think maybe only Paulus is doing that, or very few people, but it's super cool. And it's these little things that really distinguish Paulus from other players. Here's just a diminished arpeggio up. And then we arrive at the next phrase. So here we have a repeating F note with embellishments. The chords are still B flat 7, A7. But this phrase is not really outlining any chords. It's just something in D minor. It's something exciting. It's shouty. It's basically waiting till the real resolution to D minor, which is coming. Now, something about the triplets and the 16th notes. You can always notate this effect as either a triplet with a hammer-on and then upstroke, or as a downstroke and then 2 16ths with the upstroke. It sounds very similar when it's fast. I really prefer thinking the triplet, so instead of doing, but fast it sounds very similar. But for me the triplet makes my right hand a little bit more relaxed, but it's your choice. I notated the first one as the 16ths and then the triplets. Paulus actually sometimes does, I mean not here, but he just plays the triplet as down and then down. And then the next stroke is up. Like that. That's very interesting. There's a phrase in the second chorus where he does that. And it really helps the phrase. I've never done that, but that's also a possibility. So then you would get down, down, up, down. That's also possible. For me, it's very uncomfortable, but maybe it helps the articulation. I prefer hammer, on, up. And then we get this. So the way I notated it in the tab is in groups of 3, even though it's eighth notes. So naturally you would think groups of 2 or 4. But in this case it's groups of 3, and you play it with the right hand by playing down, up, down, down, up, down. Down, up, down, down, up, down. And then you give an accent every third note. So that's the effect. And then you end with this. So it's 3 of those groups. 2, 3, and the 4th time you make the bend back. It's very easy to get confused with the picking where you have to do the downstroke. So practice it slowly, really give accents, and just count. You have to do it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So the whole phrase, 1, 2. That's it for this video. Of course, there's another course. And as usual, I'm gonna make another video later this week to discuss the second course, especially for my patrons over at patreon.com. So if you're interested, go take a look. And if you join there at the lowest tier, the €5 tier, you can download the tab that you saw on screen today. And at the next tier, the €10 tier, you will get access to that exclusive video discussing the second course. Of course, also check out the site for the Gypsy Jazz Workshop Week 2023. It's already over 3/4 full, so there's not many spaces left. But if you're quick, you could still get a place in that workshop week. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the promo video. I hope you enjoyed the solo. And maybe I see some of you in 2 months during the workshop week. And otherwise, I will see you in the next video right here on YouTube. Bye!